Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like to thank you all for tuning into the show. Got a couple of my woes with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 21st edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. First thing that we're about to get into is UFC 198. Me and Darnell were actually at Buffalo Wild Wings checking out the fight. How did you think my girl Cyborg looked, man?
About as expected. She was fighting somebody that didn't have a chance. I mean, what was it? As soon as the fight started, I looked at you and said, about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I gave it one. She finished in, like 81 seconds. So,
So, yeah, I mean, it could have gone a little longer. The stoppage was a little bit early, but, I mean, honestly, the ref was just saving her for more punishment that she was going to take. She had nothing for her. You could see it from the start. She seemed timid trying to fight Cyborg, and it was not going to go her way. So,
yeah. Do you see a lot of people wanting to fight her at a catchweight?
I mean, she might get some fights here and there, but I mean, money's going to have to be right. Because I mean, she is a monster.
Yeah.
But really, it's like some of the other fighters that are established, like Amisha Tate's and Rousey's and Holmes. I mean, it'll be a nice payday, but do you want to take that shot to your legacy by going up and possibly getting mauled by her? I mean, she does look a little smaller than when she was probably on the Happy Juice,
yeah.
but she's still a beast in her own right.
Yeah, I think she made it to 139. I think the fight was at 140, so she made it to 139. But yeah, you have the people with the championship belt. Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. Those are the key people in that division. It's kind of like, why would you even want to make that risk to fight her? So it's kind of interesting to me. Like, I could see like a couple of lesser named fighters, wanting to take that chance, get some money, and possibly try to get their name out there if they could somehow manage to win against her. But like the big name fighters in that division, I don't even really see them taking a chance to even want to get in the ring and fight her, when they can just don't even have to catch weight and just try to get the belt. So the pressure would be on her in that situation, which I don't think she could lose that much weight to get into the fight for the title. She's a big woman, so that would take a lot of work for her to get down to that much weight to fight like Amisha Tate for the title or something like that. So
she kind of hinted at that during her post-fight interview. I mean, of course, it was being translated, but basically she said after it was asked what would be next for her, she was kind of like, maybe go back and defend her Invicta title, which is still a
sister company.
It's a super property still. Yes, and then she said, or find another interesting catchweight fight.
Yeah.
So it sounded like she's not too keen on trying to get to 135 herself.
Yeah. So
that weight cut was probably tough, even though she did get even a pound under what she needed.
Yeah. So it's cutting that much weight and stuff like that can have an effect on the fighter. So yeah, like I think she would stick with Invicta, and then if somebody like a lower name fighter wants to fight her in the UFC, like they can make it happen. But if somehow, some way, like a Holly Holm or Rousey wants to decide to meet her at a catchweight, which I really doubt will happen. But if that can happen, they can help get some money off of that as well. But don't really see that part happening, since it's kind of like there's not really incentive for them to really do it, to fight her, just besides like bragging rights or so. So that's how I see it. Any other thing you have to say about her?
No, she looked about as expected. She dominated.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on Jacare beating my man Vitor?
Also not shocked by this outcome. And as I told you, outside of, he didn't even get off his first
just
flare.
like burst. Yeah, it was just,
Yeah, Jacare kind of just controlled it the whole time, and as soon as it got to the ground, it was just foregone conclusion. He was not going to have anything for Jacare on the ground, and he got pounded out quickly, 1-round fight. I think I said that to you. It wouldn't get out of the first.
Yeah, so my man Vitor has been doing a lot, man, but he's not on his TRT or anything like that anymore. You know, he's 39 years old. I still think he's going to fight, but, you know, it's getting to the point where, you know, I don't really see him getting a championship or anything like that. So I think right now it's to the point, you know, if he just wants to continue to fight out of pleasure, because, you know, got Rockhold, you know, even though he did catch him with that nice kick, you know, that was a good fight. But, you know, you have Weidman, you know, you have Jacare, you have some straight up beasts in that division. So, so it would be tough for him if he really wants to get a hold of that championship. So.
And that kick was still when he was on TRT.
Yeah, so the TRT. Yeah, true. Now, you just told me this before the show even started, man, is that Bisping is going to be taking
Chris Weidman's
Chris Weidman's spot in the fight, man. That's shocking to me, you know, Bisping out of all the people, you know. What do you think about that?
I think it should have been Jacare Souza. I mean, I think the timing could have worked out. He just finished a camp, so he's in fighting shape. He's at weight, so it would have just been continuing to just to train up until time. But they decided to go with Bisping, who has already been pretty much worked by Luke Rockhold already, so I'm not sure what they were feeling on this one. Just get them another easy rematch, and so they can still have Rockhold Weidman too.
Yeah. Now, if that fight was to happen out of Rockhold and Weidman too, if that was actually happen next month, who would you have out of that one?
I mean, off the looks of the last fight, I think I would have to lay my money on Rockhold. He looked very good. Both of them went into that fight injured, so I don't know how much that affected things, but he seemed to be a bad stylistic matchup for Weidman, which is there. He hasn't come in to fight anybody that's been as athletic as he is, if not more. I think Rockhold's probably a little more athletic than him, but he matched him in technique as well. But I mean, the main turning point for that fight was a bad spinning kick that Weidman tried to throw, and he got taken down, and it was over.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it would be a little more competitive. But I mean, I'm one that unless I have that feeling about a fight, I usually lean with the champion in a fight like that.
Yeah. I can definitely agree there. Yeah, Rockhold just looked pretty good in that fight. You know, it would take Weidman good opportunity to just learn from those mistakes and just improve upon that fight. I think for him to get the championship back, but still would have been a good fight for sure, though. But yeah, I see Bisping just getting whipped pretty bad against Rockhold, man. I don't think that'd be a good fight to see, but you know, time will tell. You know. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it went other way than Rockhold by destruction.
Yeah. Now, how do you think, you know, you said Jacare, if he was to actually fight Rockhold, how do you think that match would have been?
It'd be an interesting fight. I would still go Rockhold, but I would like to see how that would go because Jacare has been on a nice little win streak for himself, and if it goes to the ground, I mean, it's scary territory for anybody versus Jacare.
Yeah.
But if Rockhold will be able to keep it on the feet, I think he would probably be able to outpoint him. I'm not sure if he'd be able to knock him out or anything like that. But
yeah, for sure. Up next, man, Cleveland finally has their champion, man. Just it's so funny because, you know, they had that 30 for 30 Believeland thing going on, and then like right after that, you know, Miocic ends up winning that belt. So that was just, you know, the icing on the cake. That was just funny. But you know, what did you think of that Verdum Miocic fight?
I mean, that was the shocker of the night.
For sure.
I mean, last week when we talked about it, I said Miocic definitely has a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that Verdum would just play to his style.
Yeah, I kind of got something. You've seen Verdum fight more than me. One thing that kind of caught me off guard with Verdum was just him coming into the entrance. He was kind of just smiling a lot and, you know, kind of like making kind of like the goofy faces and stuff like that. You usually don't see that out of fighters. Is that something that you've seen out of him before?
He's a very just laid back type of guy. It was a little bit off putting to me as well how much he was doing it.
Yeah.
Like he's usually happy go lucky going into the ring. He's just that type of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed like he was playing a little too much where it was uncomfortable. Like you are going against somebody
that has can knock you out, you know, so especially like, you know, just like in combat sports, you know, like a basketball game, you kind of being goofy. Okay. But you get into a ring, somebody has been training for months to get that belt that you have, man. They're willing to do whatever it takes to go in there, you know, to kind of just the smiling and, you know, the kind of funny faces that he was just kind of making. It was kind of like, you know, I don't know him like personality wise that much, but it's kind of like, you know, you're going into a fight, man. You know, you should be, you know, a little bit more, you know, amped up, a little bit more reserved. You're going in there, somebody's trying to knock you out and stuff like that. So that caught me off guard, you know, like as soon as he like came out, you know, with all the smiling and stuff like that, getting into the ring, that was just very kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, when the fight started, he was aggressive, overly aggressive, honestly. I think that's why he lost.
That's why, I did not like him just kind of just walking in, you know, throwing those punches against a guy like Miocic. I thought he was going to be a kind of, you know, like he'll look for an opening and, you know, hit him with some shots. But, you know, if he can try to take him down to the ground and work that jiu-jitsu on him, you know, to get that in. But, you know, just the whole, you know, him just being just how aggressive he was throwing those punches at Miocic. I did not like that at all. So, yeah. Now, who do you think is next in line to fight Miocic next?
It's only two names that you could throw up, Kane or Overeem.
You don't see a rematch possibly? With Verdum?
I don't think he deserves one off of that. I mean,
that's true.
You came in with a horrible game plan. You're running down like he was seriously running after him, throwing punches, and Verdum backed up and caught him flush in the jaw. Lights out. Like it was not a questionable like, like wasn't like working him or anything and got caught.
Yeah.
He came in with a bad game plan and got beat up. So I think if you lose like that, you go back to the drawing board a little bit. You got to win a couple fights before you get a rematch off of that.
Yeah. Now you said my man Overeem and Kane, but Kane he has a fight next month. I guess was it 200 or 199? It's 200.
200.
Against Brown. If Brown manages to beat him, you think he will have a shot to get it, or you think that would just go to Overeem?
He would be in the conversation.
Okay.
I think they would go with Overeem just because of he's been impressive lately.
Yeah.
I know his last loss, I believe, was to Travis Brown.
Yeah. Got caught,
Yeah, but I mean I think he's done enough as of late to own that next in line spot.
Just like previously, like a couple of fights ago, you know, I kind of had problems with his chin and everything with how he was getting caught and stuff like that. But he's been looking confident and everything, you know, so it's been causing problems in the little camp that he does, you know, fighting Arlovsky and stuff like that. Arlovsky said, you know, you'll never train with him and stuff like that again. I just think it's time for my boy to get the belt back. So, you know, he'll just do his thing. Well, not get it back, but, you know, get the belt. Yeah, but, you know, just do his thing in the UFC, get that championship. So, anything left to say on the UFC?
Nah, I mean, good. It was a good night of fights. I'm looking forward to what's coming up next.
Yeah. All right, Ty, you've been hella quiet, man. You can get up into this one. Up next, we're getting into the NCAA football. They just dropped shoot the most.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start because Darnell just talked for a while. But college football is one of the best times of the year, and if you guys disagree, go ahead and say something now.
No.
There you have it.
Yeah.
I think everybody's excited for it. We're seeing some teams rise to the top from last year that may have surprised a few people. We're seeing some perennial powers start to come back into relevance in Michigan, Florida. I think Alabama is going to be very interesting to watch again. In terms of week one, I mean, I think everybody's always excited for their team's game. Like Darnell, you have a compelling matchup between Michigan State and Furman. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Michigan plays Hawaii. So, I mean, there's not much going for basically our teams. Tran, do you know who Alabama plays? I know you're both in Alabama, but I couldn't see who they play.
USC, man.
They play the Trojans.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid matchup.
So, I mean, that's going to be one of the better week one games, in terms of just audience viewing and things like that. But, that game, is going to definitely catch my attention. No matter what, that one's going to be on the TV. So that'll be fun. Another one that I think would be very interesting is going to be Wisconsin versus LSU. Two of the better conferences in college football. Maybe not necessarily the top of their conference, but I think Wisconsin, who's generally a pretty solid team, likes to run the ball really well against, a less miles powered LSU team. That's always exciting. And then actually my favorite game for week one is actually going to be that Sunday night game. We saw Texas kind of get on an interesting roll last season.
Texas
beating, Texas and Notre Dame. Texas kind of got on a weird roll last year, beat Oklahoma out of the blue, and that kind of raised some eyebrows from a lot of people. And then they got that great recruiting class, coming in, one of the better ones in a long time. So, with Notre Dame really seeking to get into the college football playoff this year, I really think that Texas Notre Dame game is going to be a lot of fun to watch, which is actually a Sunday night game. So that nothing else is going to be on. So that's where my eyes will be.
Yeah. Just for me, kind of, outside of the Bama when I get into that one, but it's just going to be interesting to see Stanford play Kansas State and Clemson and Auburn, just to see Deshaun Watson and McCaffrey start their season off, because I think those two are going to be duking it out for the Heisman next year. McCaffrey just a beast at running back, and we all saw what.
He's a beast at everything.
Catching, yeah, true. Catching. That guy was literally, just doing it all last year. With just his ability, to make plays and everything that he was doing. I love Alabama, my guy Derrick Henry. But McCaffrey, just how he was just, doing everything for that Stanford team. I think he should have got the nod at the Heisman last year. But but he's going to be playing, and Watson, like I said, guy that has legs, he can throw the football, just very talented player. So I'm going to be watching those guys just to see, the entertainment that they're going to be able to bring onto the field. Of course, the one that I'm mostly going to be getting ready to look at is Alabama and USC. Just going to be interesting to see, just Kiffin play against his old team, and the Trojans. And another thing that I was just like about this game is the history of it. I had a chance to see a documentary. It was a couple of years back. I think it was called Against the Tide. I think it was like in the 70s. I would definitely encourage, if you're a sports fan or, just a fan of just drama, civil rights or anything like that, I would definitely recommend you check out the documentary about this Alabama USC matchup that they had in the 70s. Alabama played USC in the 70s, and this was right when the Trojans had started to get blacks on their team and everything. and they played against the Bear Bryant defense, and they just beat them. And when Bear Bryant saw that they started to get blacks and everything like that on their team, he really encouraged them to start recruiting black players as well. So that just opened the door for us to we're talking about Watson and Derrick Henry. If it wasn't for that game, them paving the way like that, we wouldn't be seeing some of the players that we like to enjoy in college football now. So just kind of like a history, between that game. I think it was called Against the Tide, but it's an awesome documentary. I would recommend people to watch if you're interested in that type of stuff. But it's not the weekend, but on Labor Day, another game that's going to be good is Florida State at Ole Miss. I just think that's going to be a good one to watch as well. So those are just what I'm looking forward to watching. What about you, Darnell?
Yeah, I got them all about covered. I mean, those are probably the major matchups that I'll be appointment viewing. Florida State, Ole Miss, they'll have the only game in town that night. Same with Texas, Notre Dame. Those will be fun to watch. Good to see it. We'll want to see if Texas has made strides and if Notre Dame is still going to be rolling along like they have been over the last couple of years as a solid top-tier team. Alabama, USC, of course. See how Alabama comes back. Will they have their left tackle, Cam Anderson, who just got arrested? Hopefully,
oh yeah,
they get that straightened out, because that might be rough with a brand new quarterback and his biggest protector not on the field. Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, the only one that might interest me a little bit to see that wasn't mentioned might be Georgia and North Carolina.
Yeah, Buffett, yeah.
Just see how Georgia is now without Mark Richt, and UNC. They've kind of been an up and down team over the last couple of years. See if they can put a couple good years together.
Yeah. So, what about we forgot. Yeah, Oklahoma and Houston. That's another one that's going to be played too. So
that could be a nice little shootout.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I see that would be more offense than anything else.
Yeah, I see offense as well.
I will say though, if there's going to be a quote unquote upset, I mean, I don't know how big of an upset you want to call this, but I guess we could say a little bit of home state pride at least. But Western Michigan playing at Northwestern. Western Michigan hasn't exactly been a joke over the last couple of years. Last year, I mean, they lost to Michigan State by two touchdowns, and Ohio State only by a few. I mean, it wasn't a blowout by any means. So I think Western Michigan could be a favorite going into the MAC season. Make it to Ford Field, potentially a big time bowl game too for them. So I think that could be, a week one kind of what happened to a pretty nice Big Ten program.
Yeah, that could definitely be walking into a buzzsaw that you're not expecting, because that's how I felt when State played them last year. I forget that receiver's name that they had, but my God, they're legit.
Yeah, I mean their head coach really does a really good job of preparing them week in and week out for who they're playing. They focus on their own game, not the game of anybody else. And he makes those players play with passion. So it's a lot of fun to watch Western play. I mean, that game may not be on TV or anything, but I mean it might make the Big Ten network. But I think Western Michigan could be a week one winner.
Yeah. Now, for both of you guys, both your teams aren't playing, like big name schools or anything like that the first week. But what are you guys looking forward to see, the most out of your team? Are there any question marks you want to see get answered about your team, come the first game of the season, or what?
You want to take that one, Darnell?
Sure. I mean, of course, unless my team has a lot of question marks. I mean,
you guys lost some seniors.
Lost a lot of starters, yeah. So, I mean, we want to see how the quarterback play is going. Do we have a starting quarterback by then, or is it another situation with like how it was with Andrew Maxwell and Connor Cook with them trading starts into like game 3 or 4 it was that season before Connor Cook took over as a full-time starter. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a situation like that because I don't think the gap is that deep between Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry. I want to see how the young receivers are going to be doing. You got Donnie Corley, who is supposed to be a phenom 4-star receiver, looked good at the spring game, but that's playing against your own team. So I want to see how he looks. And then personally, I feel like this is a year where the defense makes a big stride forward again. Like this team actually reminds me a lot of that Rose Bowl team. I'm not calling that out for him by any means, but it's a similar situation where I think the defense is going to be controlling games for them while the offense learns how to play together.
Would you rather see Terry or O'Connor be the quarterback, personally?
Because of the athletic ability, I would like to see Damian Terry. I just feel like probably O'Connor will have a little bit more command of the offense, but Damian Terry has more big play ability because he can do legs or his arm.
Yeah, I was going to say from what I can gather, Terry seems to be the more mobile guy, while O'Connor, who can use his feet, is probably way more comfortable passing the ball, which I don't think is really a big concern. But I mean, I remember watching that Ohio State game last year where O'Connor and Terry were kind of forced to platoon, and when it came to running the ball, it's like Terry was in the game. Like he was there to run the ball and that was it. It was like, it's 100% obvious it's run play. But, the thing is he's big, he falls forward, it's 5 yards of carry. I think it would just be, how is the progression of his arm been in the off season for him?
Yeah, which I mean, like I said, once again, is playing against the guys you play against every day. But second half of the spring game, he started looking like a college starting quarterback. And once he got to push the safeties back so they couldn't play at the line on him, where if he got in trouble, he could get outside and do something. It was like, it of course made a fan like wonder, oh, what could this be like if he put it all together?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what about you, Ty?
Yeah, for Michigan, I think the biggest question mark is the quarterback situation. Rudock was a 5th-year grad transfer, so we knew it was one season and done with him. But it was really interesting because last season, Harbaugh didn't announce who the starting quarterback was till about 20 minutes before the game started. So really nobody knew. People kind of knew, but nobody really knew. And I'll assume they'll have the same situation this year, but the only problem is there's probably about 3 or 4 guys that could pretty easily take the spot. I mean, they have incoming freshman Brandon Peters from Indiana. I don't think he'll be the starter, but has a lot of promise going forward. And then there's Spate, who actually had in-game experience last year. He led the winning drive against Minnesota. So, we've seen him play. We know what he can do. He looked pretty good in the spring game. Made some nice throws. Looks like he, once he gets control of the playbook and really understands it, he could be pretty good for a length of a season. And then there's our new grad. Well, he transferred last season, wasn't eligible to play, but was John O'Korn from Houston. Houston's just known for gunslinging offense, so the guy can throw the ball, he can run the ball. He looked pretty good in the spring game as well. If I had to lean towards somebody, it would be O'Korn, taking the starting job by the time week 1 rolls around. But really, it could be just about anybody. Also, getting the number 1 recruit was a nice cherry to the top of what was a fairly successful season last year, despite losing the biggest regular season games. Definitely not complaining about a 9-3 season last year, but being able to get a pretty solid recruiting class, get the number one recruit, Rashawn Gary, I think is going to be really interesting to see how he can develop, how that offense can develop with a new quarterback. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, real quick, last thing on the offensive side of the ball, Jake Butt, tight end, returning All-American. I was actually really surprised that he returned, but it'll be really nice for him. He's basically sure hands. It'll be really nice for a quarterback to throw to him all season. So he should, he's going to be first round talent in the NFL draft, but I don't know if he'll be a first round pick. So it'll be interesting to see, one, who wins the starting quarterback position, and two, how the offense progresses around him, whoever that may be. And then on the defensive side, it's going to be really fun to watch him play again. He really broke out last season, had a great year. It'll be really exciting to see kind of what happens with him being very versatile and able to play a few positions back there.
Linebacker though now, aren't they?
I believe so. Like, at least that's what I've heard. So, he said he feels more comfortable there. The coaches say he looks more comfortable there.
It's better fit because of how big and stocky he was. Mm-hmm. He honestly wasn't that great in coverage. He was just so athletic he could gain on anybody. He got burned a lot. He just could close.
Yeah, and I'll actually completely agree with that point. His coverage was okay. Yeah. I mean, it was nothing really to be like, oh, this kid's ready for the NFL. Yeah. But where he really shined was on blitz packages and on basically and he would kind of come out of nowhere, make the tackle or stuff like that. But one area, like you said, being able to track down, he did a really good job of kind of making up the poor coverage by being able to get in front of some balls and bat them away or make an interception or two. But I think it'll be very interesting to see. The defense is going to basically be relying on him. He's probably going to captain the defense this year. So it'll be
over. What's the corner's name?
Well, Jordan Lewis.
Yeah,
I could see them co-captaining. Even though Jordan Lewis is going to be solid, and if he has a season like last year, he's going to be a first round pick.
I thought he was the best corner in college football last year.
Yeah, he was really good.
That takes a lot for me to say that.
I would. Considering you or all that defensive talent Michigan State's put on the last few years, I mean, for you to say something like that, it means something, But I think him and Lewis will definitely be. I didn't see that coming, and a lot of people didn't see that coming. So I think it'll be fun to watch them grow this year again. Kind of new year, new group. It'll just be fun to watch the defense continue to grow as well. So I guess the two real big ones for me then are the quarterback position and Jabril Peppers.
Okay. Now I gotta ask you guys, rivals, who's gonna have a better season next year, Michigan or State?
Well, the pressure's on Michigan to have a better season.
I would agree. I would completely agree. Just based off of all the offensive question marks for Michigan State, I almost think common sense would say Michigan by maybe a game, but game or two maybe. But D'Antonio can get those guys ready. Like there's no doubt about that. It's not like we're gonna sit here and just go, yeah, well, Connor Cook's gone and half the team's gone, so Michigan, and anything can happen in college football. And I think it'll depend on how this Michigan State offense looks, really.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're not going into the season thinking it's going to be like a 500 year or anything like that. I think those kids are still thinking they have a chance at a Big Ten title. It's just going to be a big uphill climb because, it's especially just how divisions are set up. Just this one's a meat grinder out of Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan. It's just kind of unfair that Wisconsin basically gets a walk every year. But
should have a walk every year.
Yeah, should, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, if just on paper, the nod has to go to U of M with everything they got returning. I mean, basically all they lost was Rudock.
Yeah.
So they.
Yeah, and it's also kind of weird, same with Michigan being on the rise, of Michigan State, being in the Big Ten championship game multiple times over the last, really since it started the last few years. It's still really, tough to believe that Ohio State's still the favorite.
Yeah.
But they are, and Urban Meyer's got those guys, working like a well-oiled machine. So, if both Michigan teams could beat Ohio State this year, very tough task. I think the state of Michigan would be pretty happy. Keep them out of the playoff, keep them out of the Big Ten championship game. I think that a lot of people in the country would actually be happy about that.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you guys would like to say about NCAA football before we move on?
Can it get here sooner?
Yeah.
Could we bump the season up?
Yeah, add some more games. Yeah.
I'm not saying add more games.
But
let's play when it's hot.
Yeah. For sure. Up next, we're about to talk about the NBA. Just to let some people know, we could have actually had this podcast up yesterday. We decided to move it because we thought the OKC Golden State game was actually going to be worth watching last night, but it wasn't.
But it was still worth watching because now it's more fun to talk about a 1-1 series.
Well, okay. We can do that, yeah. All right. Good way to look at it, Ty. But we're going to get to that a little later. We're about to talk about this lottery draft that happened yesterday. And just to give a little recap, number one is the Philadelphia Tankers. 76ers. Up next, number two, we have my Los Angeles Lakers. 3, we have Boston. That happened through the Brooklyn Nets. 4, we have Phoenix. 5, Minnesota Timberwolves. 6, New Orleans. 7, Denver. 8, Sacramento. 9, Toronto. 10, Milwaukee. 11, Orlando. 12, Utah. We have number 13, Phoenix again, and 14, the Chicago Bulls. What did you guys think about the draft?
Well, it was crazy that this is the first time in the lottery's history that it went all according to the percentages.
I gotta ask you guys something now, but we'll get to that in a second. But what are your thoughts, Ty?
Yeah, it kind of went to plan, if you will. Granted, there never really is a plan in the lottery, but it went the way everybody thought it would.
It could be. I'm about to tell you guys this. I don't know if you guys heard about this.
Let's hear it.
Did you guys hear about the Dikembe Mutombo conspiracy?
No.
He tweeted out, "Congratulations, 76ers, I guess, 4 hours before the event occurred." Yeah. So people are saying that, insiders, they already had it rigged and stuff. So the 76ers could get first place and everything like that. So they saying that they knew everything, how it was going to go before it started and everything, just based upon Mutombo's tweet.
No.
Yes, because the NBA so much wanted the 76ers to get the top pick in the NBA draft, so they can be back on top. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I saw that, man. That had me laughing. I was like, wow, But there were some people that believed it, man. It was.
Did you believe it?
No.
Are you sure?
No, not my style, okay. Man. For sure.
Yeah, no, I think Darnell's right there. Why? What? Joel Embiid hasn't played a game. Nerlens Noel will probably get traded, and Jahlil Okafor will be out of there the first chance he can get. So the last 3 years in the draft for them is gone already.
Yeah,
and consider that a conspiracy theory. I'm already saying it. They're gone. Nobody wants to be there.
I hear you. Now, who do you guys think are going to be the top guys to get drafted? We want to do top 3, top 5? However you guys want to go.
Well, there's
Well, who do you think is going to get number one, first of all?
I think Simmons will go one.
I'm inclined to agree, just because the upside, I don't see. In the end, I don't think they pass on him.
Do you think he's the right now the best player in the draft right now?
No.
Okay.
I just think he's very talented. From the flashes he showed at LSU this year, you could see what people are talking about with him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the most polished player in the NCAA.
Okay. Who would you say was the most polished?
I think you go to who will be the number 2 pick, North Carolina. Why am I blanking on the name?
Duke?
Ingram? You think
Brandon
Duke?
Ingram?
Yeah, I mean Duke.
Brandon Ingram. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, so I think that was your stud. He could do a little bit of everything. I just don't think his ceiling is as high as Simmons.
Yeah. The thing with that I noticed like instantly between the two is, Simmons is 6'10", 240. Ingram is 6'9", 190. So the whole weight, he could be like he was telling me about Kevin Durant, and everything when he was with, Texas, how small and everything he was. But, that just side, a guy that's, 50 pounds more than you, just an inch taller, that was just like, I was like, wow, this guy's like skinny. But, it'll be interesting to see, what's his plan, to bulk up, because, there are going to be some guys that's going to get physical with him and stuff like that. So, just to see,
I mean, that'll get taken care of.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
They'll put some size on him. They'll work him out to get there. But I mean, it's just like I said, they're going to go with Simmons just based on everything that's there for him. And Ingram's going to be more of a 3 than a 4 anyway.
Yeah.
Simmons, because of that size, he's going to be a 4, hopefully a stretch 4 for Philly.
Yeah.
That can step out and open up the court. They're going to be big guy heavy. If they can actually get Embiid on the floor and keep Noel healthy, I mean, that's going to be quite a big front line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'm not as worried about Ingram's weight because he's going to be playing the 3.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, like remember how skinny LeBron was when he first got in the league.
I would never
he was
consider
thin.
him skinny.
He was thin. Well, granted, he really bulked up. So, I mean, granted, he's just an absolute freak of nature. But to be worried about Ingram being thin, that I don't think that's much of a concern. And I think Darnell raised the point. He had the flashes during the NCAA tournament. He took a few games over by himself.
Yeah. And
that's why I think he's going to be the best, quote unquote, the best player in this draft, only because he showed it in the big games where Simmons didn't even get to the big games. I mean, granted, playing for Duke, the Duke pedigree, you're going to have a little bit of a better team around you and therefore most likely make it to the tournament. But I still think that Ingram was able to do it on the big stage, and we never got to see Simmons on the big stage.
So, Todd, do you agree with Darnell's assessment that Ben has a higher upside, but Ingram's
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think Simmons has showed probably a little bit more of a rounded game for that type of potential, to put up, the potential Draymond, 18, 13, and 6, 7 assists. I mean, I think we could see that out of Simmons, maybe not right away, but I think that's the kind of potential that Simmons has on a regular night in, night out basis, where Ingram's going to have his hot nights, he's going to have his cold nights, and he's either scoring or he's not. He may be able to give you a little something on maybe the defensive end of the floor, but I think Simmons will just be able to do more for you offensively. And I think defense just takes time in the NBA, so both guys will have to just grow in their defensive games.
Yeah, I see Simmons as that down the line. He's going to be a perennial all-star, like, max type player, but Ingram's probably a rookie of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, and a lot of times, and granted, this year we kind of got spoiled with Karl Anthony Towns being rookie of the year.
Yeah.
You know, really kind of doing it all. But, you know, usually rookie of the year is the rookie that just gets won the most play time. And I think there'll be no problem with Simmons or Ingram getting play time. But yeah. I just think we'll see a little more production right off the bat from Ingram.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add about the draft?
Nah, I just went according to plan. Like, I'm interested to see where, like, some of the college standouts that aren't
Buddy Hield.
Yeah, like, where does Hield go? Where does Valentine go? Since they were the college player of the years from the AP and coaches.
Deontay Davis. I think he's going to be an interesting pick.
Well, everybody's saying he's like a top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the really CBS rankings right now. They have Hield at 8, Valentine at 10, and Davis at 12.
Okay, yeah, and I'm currently looking at Chad Ford's big board, and he has Hield at 6 to the Pelicans, Valentine 13 to the Suns. Actually, both Valentine and Deontay Davis will both be good fits with both of those teams.
Yeah. I just think Davis, he's going to be a project. Like, he was showing some signs of growth, but I think he's going to take some time for an NBA team to make use out of him.
Mm-hmm. But I think he's going to be, if taken in those lottery picks, he's going to be the one where people go, all right, we'll see if this works.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Up next, we're going to talk about just Chris Bosh for a few. It came out this week that the Heat could possibly be wanting him to retire due to his health situation down in Miami. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, if they're actually taking part in being concerned for his health, which, I mean, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they are. I mean, it's something he's gonna have to think about. I mean, it's 2 years straight now where he's had to step away due to fear of a blood clot, medical procedure that has a high probability of clearing this up. Yeah, he's gonna have to seriously think about, stepping away. It'll suck because he still has a few good years left in him.
Yeah,
he's an elite player still, so it's going to be tough. But you got to put your health before playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree there. I mean, I think one way we can look at it realistically is, Chris Bosh doesn't have to lift a finger for the rest of his life. Financially, he's set. I mean, that's, good for him.
Set.
Yeah, correct.
Hopefully he hasn't gone crazy.
Yeah, correct.
Well, he doesn't seem like that type of guy.
From all reports, he's bright. He takes care of himself.
Okay. Yeah, I agree there. But good for him to take the news seriously and step away if he has to. But if he doesn't have to and he feels he can give it a go, maybe he just needs to be traded. Because if he really feels he can go and doctors say he can go and Miami is what's holding him back, I don't think that's fair to Chris Bosh or the NBA as a whole.
For sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with both of you guys. I was just listening to a documentary last night, Chasing Tyson, Evander Holyfield, when he was talking, he said, the most valuable part of life is life. This guy, Chris Bosh, fantastic player. He's definitely been a beast in the league. But, he has this whole blood clot situation going on with him. He has wife and kids. He has so much stuff going on, more important stuff going on in his life, than just a basketball game. Will he be missed on the court? Definitely. But this is a situation, got a good amount of money. If this is a situation that he can't, control, and it's something that's going to be continuously affecting his life. And, he needs to, take the time, just retire and, he did his thing on the court, find something to do that could satisfy him off the court. This is like it did in the NBA. So, definitely something important. Just hopefully he can, well, first, just wish the guy, wellness and everything like that, good health. But, if this is a situation that he can, take care of, be the time and just sit down and just enjoy the years he had in the NBA and just move on to something else. So for sure. Now, anything else, guys?
No, just like I said. I mean, of course, you wish him the best. You hope they can figure out something where he can keep playing. But gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. All right, going to OKC and Golden State. Like Ty said, it's tied 1-1. Right now, we had a good game 1. Pretty bad game 2. But one thing, OKC, they shocked the world last week when they beat the Spurs. Can they possibly beat Golden State, and can they possibly win it all?
I mean, they showed that they have the ability to beat Golden State, but I mean, game 2 just seemed like game 1 was Bruce Banner, and after the game was over, they said, "You won't like us when we're angry," and they got angry and turned into a big blue 3-point hitting monster and defensive lockdown monster, and they just overwhelmed Oklahoma City then.
Yeah, after last night's game, I was talking to my dad about it, and I was just like, Oklahoma City did their job. They took a game. They did what they were supposed to do. They're going home. And
to beat, Golden State at home, that's not an easy task. So,
No.
Sure.
And I have just been looking at the series going, well, okay, they lost by 30 last night. They also got blown out game 1 against San Antonio. Is there some sort of parallel here where it's like a wake-up call and they just storm back in the next couple games and take control? Or is this really the weight of the series? And is this, last night was the script everybody expected to be followed. And game 1 disrupted the script, and it's almost like it got right back on track with game 2. But I really think Oklahoma City granted, if they trade wins now, they have the series. If they just trade wins. But I think they really need to step it up on that perimeter defense. And I don't know what you can do to step up your perimeter defense on Steph Curry. I mean, I don't know if anybody can step up their perimeter defense on Steph Curry.
Yeah, he scored like 15 points in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. And he went through that stretch and he was just throwing them up and they were just going in. And you can't stop what he's doing. At least I don't think you can.
Yeah.
And
nobody's figured it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that Oklahoma City really has shown moments where they have it all together and look really good. Game 1, Russell Westbrook did a little more of the grunt work. Kevin Durant went through that cold stretch late in the game, but hit the big shot at the end. And whether we want to talk about that travel call or not, I think that might be a different discussion to have. But I mean, Oklahoma City showed up game 1, and I actually think they caught Golden State a little off guard. And it kind of threw them off a little bit. And then game 2, Golden State just kind of settled in, showed up, was their normal selves again. And I think they played a lot more like Golden State in game 2. Like, Darnell said, that lockdown defense. Draymond Green was looking good. Steph Curry looked good. In a few stretches that made his end numbers look really good. And, I just think that Golden State just needs to just forget about it and just be Golden State, and they'll have no problem.
Yeah. You have anything to add, Darnell?
No, Tab, covered it there. I mean, I'm interested to see how Game 3 looks now. Like, do we see more of what just happened, or is it back to like Game 1 type where it's two equals playing each other?
Yeah.
You know, the thing I found probably most interesting about Game 1 was it seemed like when Oklahoma City was doing a lot of their damage, it was when they had both Adams and Cantor on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, the whole idea of, you know, you have to compete with Golden State playing small ball. You know, that's how you're going to beat them. You got to run with them and you got to shoot with them. But Oklahoma City actually took the time to actually like out rebound them. And they took the time to really be patient
which they've
on
done
offense.
against everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that kind of surprised me a little bit is everybody screaming small ball, small ball. You have Oklahoma City out here actually competing with them with, you could argue 3 7-footers on the floor if you want to count Kevin Durant, but with basically two big guys out on the floor in Cantor and Adams, and they're out there beating them. And that kind of surprised me a little bit because we haven't seen that from anybody this year.
Yeah. Now, you know, we'll get to it, but what were your guys' thoughts on that no call travel at the end of the game for Game 1?
It was just obviously missed.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the missed calls we've had, there's not an explanation for why they're continuing to miss calls.
You know,
but it was just obviously missed.
Yeah, my whole thing is, you know, they missed it, but, you know, this is the NBA. Like, they never really called travels like they should. You know, it's probably was like 50 other times they could have called traveling in the game. Yeah. They just don't. So, you know, it was, you know, Golden State could have tied it, you know, just like when they played early in the regular season, you know, it was tied and, you know, Curry went up there and made that ridiculous half-court shot. You know, he can make those type of things, but, you know, how they played in Game 2, if they could have brought it like that, they wouldn't even have to worry about it for Game 1. So, yeah, it was missed, but, you know, it's kind of hard to talk about a missed call travel when, you know, NBA is known for not calling traveling like it should. So, just want to take Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Darnell?
I mean, just basically like that. Yeah, it's traveling. I mean, of course, if they don't call travel, they don't call traveling. Yeah. I mean, if they call traveling, LeBron James would have about 20 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's true.
For sure. But, you know, just based upon, you know, that missed call travel and just all the rest of the other, you know, missed calls that we're talking about this playoffs, you know, how do you think the refs have done during the playoffs? You know, if you could assess them, you think they've done a good job or, you know?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, after every close game, you have the NBA coming out saying, well, they missed this many calls on this game. They missed that many calls.
And I've never seen, like, anything like this before, too. No, just like the missed calls.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like they do a good job. I don't think NBA refs in particular have ever really been that good. Just because, I mean, going back to what we were just saying, like, they don't call traveling. It's becoming a basketball-wide thing. Like, of course, in the last 2 minutes, it's basically swallow your whistle and let whatever happen. Let the players decide it. So it's like, so why are they paying you in the fourth quarter? Let's get off the court then if you're just not going to call things.
Yeah.
So it's putting me back on my soapbox there. If something's a foul in the first quarter, it's a foul in the third quarter. It's a foul in the fourth quarter. If it's traveling, it's traveling. If you take more than your 2 steps or 1.5 steps, however they acclaim it to be in the NBA, it's traveling. If you take a Euro step and 2 more, it's a travel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys don't watch like Inside the NBA, do you?
I do sometimes.
Sometimes.
Do y'all watch like ever watch these Shaq in the Fool segments?
Oh yeah.
It is just hilarious, like how Shaq, you know, like he'll just have like his top 5 like craziest moments, and just some of the travel that like he'll have on footage is just ridiculous. Like, how do the refs just miss that? You know, that's not even a playoff. It's, you know, regular season, everything. It's just ridiculous.
Blatantly switching pivot feet, and it's just like,
taking like
can't do that.
Like guy took like 10 steps. It's kind of like, are you serious? Like if they're doing that, man, I might as well apply for a job to be a ref if that's the qualifications.
Yeah, and there was that stretch in the game last night where I felt there were 3 or 4 fouls, and then Kevin Durant says one thing to the ref, and he gets teed up. It's like that one very weak technical. Yeah. But second of all, it's like, what happened over the last minute and a half that you don't touch your whistle, and then Kevin Durant decides to look at you, granted, I don't know what he said. I don't think anybody knows what he said. But then you just had to give the technical. It's like, I really want to know what goes through these refs' heads when they choose to not make a call. Like, are they just like, well, I'll let this one go, and
they're or
are
scared.
or are they just
scared to make a story about that?
Yeah, but but that's the thing. Whether they make the call or not, the story is potentially going to be about them.
Yeah,
and we talked about that before. Someone's always going to be upset.
Yeah,
but it's hard to watch. It's getting to that point.
Yeah, it's just they need to start just. I mean, take your shot. If it's foul, call it. Like, for the most part, you guys have been doing this job for years. During the playoffs, apparently, it's supposed to. It's supposed to be the best of the best of the officials calling these games.
Yeah.
So I think they should trust your judgment enough where if you see something that's something egregious, whether it's a travel, whether it's a foul, whether it's should be a delay of game call because somebody's standing on the line to impede a pass, whatever, just call it. Do your job.
Yeah.
Job is to enforce the rules.
Yeah. Definitely hear you guys there. Let's, for the last segment, what do you guys think about this Cleveland-Toronto series?
I don't.
It's a snooze fest. Yeah, this, I will say, even more than their second round matchup with Atlanta, I am so disinterested. Yeah. Like, Toronto, outside of getting terribly blown out in game 1, putting up a little bit better of a fight tonight. They're down 12 and a half 14, or something like that. 14.
62 to 48 right now.
Yeah, so 14 points.
Is it Toronto or is it just Cleveland, man? Because they've just been sweeping by.
I think Cleveland is the real deal right now. And
they are playing at a lot better level, but I mean, I just feel like.
But real quick, props to Toronto. This is the greatest season they ever had. First time they made it to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals. So, this is new to them, but, still. But, yeah, as you were saying, Darnell.
Well, I'm just saying I just feel like better fit or to make it easier for them to move ahead, which you earn that getting a 1 seed. But I swear the Eastern Conference playoffs this year, like anybody that makes that argument for just taking the best 16 teams and going from there, this is your season to just complain about it. Because like I feel bad for Oklahoma City or Golden State. You guys are beating up each other. Actually have had to lose games to each other. You've had a close game so far, and you got Cleveland that's basically sweeping their way through the playoffs and not having break sweats.
Yeah. Now, how do you brought it up, Darnell? How do you?
I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, I know just it's kind of a tradition thing with the NBA. You take the best 8 from each side, and you're always going to have somebody that's left out that if it was one way or the other, they would have been in. Yeah. It's tough because it swings and it goes in certain ways. Like in the 90s, it was whoever wins the East wins the NBA title. During the early 2000s, it was basically whoever wins the West. Then you had the Heat era where it was basically they get to run through the East and play whoever beat up whoever out of the West and most likely win the title. It's just you can't. It never seems equal. I think it actually goes more so to the NBA probably needs.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and just to hit that point, I think I think the system's okay. I think there's nothing wrong with taking the top 8 from each conference. I think that's more than fair.
This has just been a horrible playoff, though.
I agree.
This is definitely making me want to watch some NCAA basketball next year, man. This is awful.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this just really shows how top heavy the NBA actually is.
Yeah.
When you're starting to get players joining teams to be with other stars, I mean, this is what you're gonna get. Granted, you have Oklahoma City who did it in a more traditional way, but I think that the NBA is just so top heavy that for the next 4 or 5 years, the teams we see right now, unless we get some really big shakeups, are going to be the same 4 or 5 teams we'll see for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't. Granted, you might get someone kind of rise up a little bit every once in a while, but generally, we're going to have the Cavs for the next 4 or 5 years. We're going to have the Golden State Warriors, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Spurs. We're going to have these guys.
I don't think OKC, with.
That's just because you're hoping for Durant.
You're praying.
Durant and Westbrook. Okay.
Trey. Listen to this. Westbrook's going to be there next year, correct?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So them being this far is basically a recruiting pitch to Durant saying, "Hey, look what you'd have for another year, and we'll get Westbrook to stay." They're going to promise him that. And I almost don't know why he would want to leave this right now. They're solidifying themselves in the NBA, and they have a very good chance of absolutely solidifying themselves, beating Golden State, making it to the finals, and then anything can happen there. Granted,
why would he want to have to go to the Lakers of all teams?
Yeah. I don't think he's chasing money. I really don't. Granted, I could be very wrong because there were a lot of people we said wouldn't chase the money and they left. Yeah. But I really think being this far into the season, looking, despite last night's loss, looking this good would be enough for me to say we can give this another run for at least one more year. And they can afford to pay both of those guys with the salaries that the other guys have on that team. They can easily afford to keep Westbrook and Durant together for the next 5 to 8 years.
I think it ends up that Durant signs a 1-year deal with OKC.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised.
With
negotiations.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I mean, it was kind of like LeBron signing a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I was just going to say it might be similar to that 2-year deal, but the second year is a player option.
Yep. Yeah, I could absolutely see that. I completely agree. I mean, Tran, more power to you for hoping and wishing and praying some more, but we'll see what happens with those Lakers. They could get somebody.
We'll see, man.
We'll see.
Time will tell for sure. Anything else to add, guys?
Not on this.
All right.
Well, real quick, since we're on your Lakers, would you rather see them just kind of rebuild young and really make someone like, whether they want to say D'Angelo Russell or Julius Randle or Jordan Clarkson, would you rather see them kind of just work with those guys and just be like, all right, you guys are the Lakers? Or do you really want them to go out and just get somebody who'd be there because the Lakers would be willing to pay him a max contract? And not necessarily want to be there, but just want to check.
Well, rumor has it, DeRozan wants to go back to his home state. So
I've heard that.
DeRozan's a beast. He's a young guy. I wouldn't mind seeing him come to LA. He would just need to make sure that, when it comes to the times for them to go to playoffs, he actually steps up. So I wouldn't mind that since he's young and talented. Hoping for Kevin Durant, it's just if they were to manage to get him, and they have Julius Randle, the 3 and 4, they already got 2 guys at that position, but it's kind of like they will have to get him after they get either Ingram or Ben Simmons. Yeah. So, that can mess them up for sure. But LA, I mean, they do have D'Angelo Russell. I still don't know how the team likes him, with the whole Nick Young situation and everything. But, I do like Julius Randle. I think he's going to be a beast. I do like Clarkson. He's a fantastic player. But, I just think the Lakers are just going to end up getting a piece during the off season. So.
And if for some reason they get Durant, I will be the first guy to say you were right.
All right, man.
I would be the first if they get him.
You'll get your props on this show if you're right.
You will.
Neither of us think it's going to happen.
All right, man. I'm telling you, all my Lakers fans out there, man, Durant coming to LA. Y'all heard it first.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
And you heard it first here that he's drinking something right now.
Oh, man.